Right now, a new investigation involving the U.S. Social Security system is raising serious questions about how personal data connected to Social Security numbers may have been handled. And the reason this matters is simple. Social Security records contain some of the most sensitive identity information in the country. If systems like this are mismanaged, the risks could affect millions of Americans. At the same time, there are also efforts inside the government to modernize these systems and detect fraud. Sometimes those changes can help protect benefits. But other times, they can create confusion if people don't fully understand what's happening. So today, we're going to look at both sides of this story. But before we get into it, I'm curious about something. When you think about government databases holding your personal information, do you feel confident about their security, or does it make you a little uneasy? Let me know in the comments. First, it helps to understand just how large the Social Security data system actually is. A lot of people think Social Security is simply about retirement checks. You work, you pay taxes into the system, and later in life you receive benefits. But behind the scenes, the Social Security Administration has become something much bigger. In many ways, it functions as a central identity system for the entire country. When Social Security first began in the 1930s, the goal was simple: track workers and provide retirement benefits. But over time, that system expanded. Employers began using Social Security numbers for payroll reporting. Banks used them to verify identity. Credit bureaus rely on them. The IRS uses them. Medicare, student loans, and even many state systems depend on Social Security records. In other words, that one number on your Social Security card is connected to an enormous database behind the scenes. And today, the Social Security Administration pays about $1.5 trillion in benefits every year to more than 70 million Americans. That includes retirees, people with disabilities, and survivor benefits. But the database itself is even larger than that. It contains records for virtually anyone who has ever applied for a Social Security number. One of the main systems is called the NUMIDENT, short for the Numerical Identification System. It stores identity records for hundreds of millions of people, both living and deceased. Another database called the Master Death File tracks deaths so that benefits stop when someone passes away, helping prevent fraud. Normally, these systems are considered some of the most sensitive government records in existence. They contain names, Social Security numbers, birth dates, places of birth, and sometimes even parental information. Because this information is so important for identity verification across the entire economy, the security around these databases has always been taken extremely seriously. But recently, a whistleblower complaint raised concerns about how some of that data may have been handled during a modernization effort inside the government. And this is where things start to get complicated. Under the current administration, President Donald Trump launched an initiative called the Department of Government Efficiency, often referred to as DOGE. The goal was to find waste, fraud, and inefficiencies across federal agencies. The idea behind it was fairly straightforward. Many government systems are decades old, and outdated technology can make it harder to detect fraud or duplicate payments. So the initiative brought in engineers and data analysts, including people connected to technology companies, to analyze government systems and identify ways to improve them. In theory, that idea sounds reasonable. If you can analyze large data sets, you might be able to find mistakes or fraud that cost taxpayers money. But what happened next raised concerns. According to a whistleblower complaint filed earlier this year, a former software engineer connected to the initiative allegedly told colleagues he had obtained copies of 2 restricted Social Security databases. One of those databases, according to the complaint, may have even been stored on a thumb drive. Now this part is very important. These claims are allegations, and they have not been proven. Both the Social Security Administration and the engineer involved say internal reviews did not find evidence confirming the claims. So it's important not to jump to conclusions. But the reason this story has received so much attention is the scale of the data involved. The whistleblower claimed the databases contained records for more than 500 million people, both living and deceased. According to the complaint, the engineer may have wanted help transferring the data onto a personal computer so it could be cleaned or sanitized before analysis. The idea, reportedly, was to remove identifying information before using the dataset. But critics say that even copying such a large database could raise major security concerns. Because once data leaves a secure system, it becomes much harder to track where copies might exist. One former Social Security data official summed up the concern in a way that stuck with many people. He said that if copies were made, there could be one copy, or a million copies, and we might never know. And that comment really captures the core issue. Supporters of the modernization effort say the situation may be misunderstood. They argue that large datasets are sometimes necessary to detect fraud and inefficiencies. For example, one goal of the project was reportedly to identify cases where benefits might still be going to people who had already passed away. And historically, that has happened occasionally. Government reports have found isolated cases where outdated records caused improper payments. So supporters say improved data analysis could actually protect taxpayer money. And there is some logic to that argument. Data analytics has helped improve efficiency in many industries. But critics say the issue isn't the goal, it's the security safeguards. Some longtime technology staff inside the Social Security Administration reportedly worried that engineers involved in the project were given very broad access to internal systems, potentially bypassing traditional security controls. Another concern also surfaced. Earlier complaints suggested that some Social Security data may have been uploaded to a custom cloud environment, which critics said might not have had the same protections as official government systems. Again, the agency says its reviews did not find evidence that the data was hacked or leaked. But the situation raised enough questions that Congress began looking into it. Several lawmakers have called for investigations and requested briefings and records to understand exactly what access was granted and how the data was handled. Some members of Congress have said Americans' personal data must be protected at all costs. At the same time, administration officials continue to defend the modernization effort, saying the goal was always to improve efficiency and reduce fraud. So you can see the tension here. On one side, there's the push to modernize government systems using powerful data tools. On the other side, there's the responsibility to protect extremely sensitive personal information. So what does this mean for you personally? Right now, the most important thing to understand is that the investigation is still ongoing. Officials are working to determine whether any data was actually transferred outside official systems. And so far, authorities have not confirmed that Social Security data has been leaked or compromised. But the story has sparked a broader conversation about data protection and government oversight. Because the Social Security database is one of the foundations of identity in the United States. Investigations are now underway from multiple directions. The Social Security Inspector General is reviewing the allegations, and congressional committees are requesting documents and interviews to better understand what happened. In a digital world, data is incredibly powerful. But it also requires extremely strong safeguards. Sometimes investigations show that systems are working as intended. Other times, they reveal weaknesses that need to be fixed. And sometimes the biggest stories about Social Security aren't just about benefits or retirement rules. They're about the systems quietly operating behind the scenes that make the entire program possible. Those systems, the databases, the safeguards, and the oversight, affect every American who has ever had a Social Security number. So staying informed, Asking questions and following the facts as they develop is always a good idea. And as always, thanks for spending some time with me today.